Now that I have given it a bit of time after going on Nemesis for the opening weekend, well, to be precise, it's literally been like 24 hours, but still, now that I have given it a bit of time to sort of let my thoughts of opening weekend for Nemesis settle into my head a little bit and go over what I really think about it, I thought now is the time that I need to go through my true opinion on Nemesis Reborn, because I gave a quick review last Saturday, it would have been by the time this goes up, I made sort of a really quick video about what I thought of it then, but mentioned the factor of I hadn't had enough rides on it yet, bearing in mind at the time I recorded I'd only been on it once, and I wanted to let the thoughts settle in my head and get a few more rides on it before sitting in front of a camera and giving a true opinion of what I think of it and going over the details of the ride. Now that I'm pretty sure it was 4 rides that I had over opening weekend, I've had enough time to get on the ride a few times and observe what I really think of the ride. Now then, I might as well just get straight into it. So things which I do need to stress, the opening day for Nemesis Reborn really was a high point for me because we, pure by luck, got front row for both rides we had on it, which was absolutely incredible, and I am aware that obviously being on the front row is going to enhance your experience. So I've also got to consider on the second day, luckily, well, not luckily because the first day was even better because you got front row, but for an extensive sort of review to have an opinion on what the ride is like overall, we did get row 7, it was before the last, 8 cars, row 7, the row before the last row on the train, and row 2, which kind of meant we were spread out between the train overall with the 4 rides that we got. Now the first thing that I need to address is that I heard a lot of people saying that the train was a little bit rattly towards the very end section of the ride, especially on the sort of last turn into the final brake run. And on the first day, I thought this was absolutely ridiculous. I didn't understand what people were saying because from the rides we had on the front row, it was a really very good sort of smooth ride experience. It really wasn't jittery in any way. But on the second day, where we had row 7 for our first ride of the day, you could notice it, and I do have to say it definitely is there. So I was kind of thinking, oh, people are chatting nonsense, I don't know what they're on about. But on the second day, I kind of had to eat my words a little bit because you could notice it, and it was definitely there. But what I do have to say is, even when we did notice it towards the back of the train on that ride, it wasn't so significant that it was off-putting from the ride. And I even discussed, because I was able to get my dad to go on it, which was great, and even asked him to make sure I wasn't sort of getting stuck up in my own opinions. I said, was it really that off-putting? And he mentioned, yes, it was noticeable, but it wasn't really off-putting from the enjoyment of the ride. And I've heard a lot of people mentioning online that apparently B&Ms tend to do this, where I think they said it's called bedding in, I think. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong on that. But over time, it will sort of settle and that will wear away essentially over time, which is great to hear. And I hope that is the case because that was really, in terms of the ride experience, the only sort of negative there is to it. Because in terms of pacing for those rides, it felt absolutely fine. So yeah, I do hope that is just one thing which works itself out over time. After that, we'll go on to what I need to address in terms of whether I thought it was a better ride at day or at night. Now, when we rode this in the day, it was very good. Obviously, you got the front row. But on day 1, we were able to, just before it actually closed, it was raining while we were on the ride, which I got laughed at by my friend for having my glasses strap on because I'll be honest, I put 2 on the glasses, 1 going down and 1 going that way, because I am oh so paranoid of losing my glasses. But really did get the last laugh because when it's raining and you've got glasses on, they stop the rain from hitting your eyes so you can keep your eyes open. Whereas he was kind of like that because it felt like hail, I'll be honest. I don't know if it definitely was, but it was hitting you that hard. It really did feel like it. Now, what I do have to say is that night was the best ride I've had on Nemesis Reborn overall from all of those rides, and was where I really thought, wow, they've done a great job, because the lighting around the area was perfect, with the searchlight as well was amazing, sort of going up and around the tree line and the queue line and everything. With the eye, as you go into the 0G roll, you can clearly see it as you go round into it, with the smoke effects and everything. It was an incredible ride at night, and really is now, in my opinion, the best night ride at the park, because Nemesis before was one of my top night rides. So now it's definitely up there, if not the best. And after that ride, I'll be honest, we did sort of retreat back to the hotel because we were soaked. Honestly, it was raining that bit. And even the walk back to the hotel basically was torrential downpour, which was horrible. From what I've heard, just after we'd started walking off, it did actually go down for a little bit and people had to be evacuated on the lift hill. This is perfectly normal, by the way. It's a brand new ride. It's just sort of settling in. It's perfectly safe. And in fact, it's kind of showing how safe it is that the sensors are working and the ride team being that cautious just to make sure it's operating at the safest level it can be. I also saw online that luckily they did manage to get the ride back open for those last few people in the remainder of the queue, which was great because it meant that they still were able to get a ride. I did hear that a lot of people were sort of escorted out of the queue because they were told it's not going to be reopened. And by the time they got back to the cars and everything, they heard that it's opened, which is a shame. But at the same time, I'm glad that they did work to get that ride back open to get people on it. But anyway, this isn't a review of the reliability of the ride. This is a review of what I thought of the ride overall. Now then, it makes sense for me to go on to the point which I'm very nervous about annoying people with, but as I've said, I've got to express my own opinions on this. I always do on this channel, and I really do look forward to seeing what everyone else thinks in contrast to this. I'm going to go over if I think that Nemesis Reborn is better than the original Nemesis. And I'm going to break this down into certain segments, because I think in terms of theming around the area, it's undeniably better. it's incredible. With the eye, I'll be honest, the eye was the most incredible part for me. With the sort of tentacles, or is it claws, that sort of go in and out, with the eye actual face, which then interacts and you can see comes to life as the train is dispatched. Then you can see it getting like angered, and then the train comes into the 0G roll and it puts the smoke out as you go through it. That's really great, and I think that was one of the sort of standout theming elements, but there was just so much here. We had 2 helicopters, one being in the turnaround as you come back round into the loop, and one of them being at the entrance of Forbidden Valley. There was things like the extra bits of track, which everyone wondered why they'd been delivered to the park. They were in the queue line, with part of it going out of a shipping container, which is amazing to see, and the new queue line looking awesome. It goes up over the valley and round, like I saw a lot of people predicting, and it's a much cooler queuing experience because you're obviously looking down into the valley. It's very cool. So in terms of theming, I have to say Nemesis Reborn beats the original Nemesis. And in terms of the station, it now is beautifully themed with kind of a dispatch sequence with the lights sort of going on and off and flickering, and you can even see the heartbeat of the Nemesis creature. And it's got awesome details. It's really great in that station now. It really is quite cool. So in terms of theming, I have to say Nemesis Reborn is undeniably better in my opinion. Now in terms of the actual ride experience itself, now I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really notice a major difference. And that is purely because I kind of felt very similar in terms of the ride experience. Now that might change the more I go to the park, because as I heard a lot of people mentioning, it's a new ride, it's going to settle in, because obviously it's been completely retracked, it's new track, it's new trains, it needs to settle into it again. And later in the season, it might be going through it that little bit faster and might feel faster than original Nemesis. But in my opinion, it felt equal in terms of speed. Now obviously it did feel incredibly fast for the night ride on the front row that we got. I can't believe how lucky we were for that. That was an incredible ride. But again, the original Nemesis on night rides did feel equally as fast in my opinion. So I will say it's a smoother ride experience if you're to the front of the train. If you're near to the back again, there's the thing of it being a teeny bit rattly towards the end of the ride, but again, it's not off-putting from the enjoyment of the ride in my opinion. I do have to mention, theming affects ride experiences. When you're looking at the theming going around the ride, it makes that ride experience a whole lot better. So the theming category probably did help this a little bit, but I tried to sort of exclude that from this part of the review because I wanted it just to be the actual ride experience in terms of the pacing and the how it felt to be on ride. I do have to say that I think Nemesis Reborn is better than the original Nemesis, and I'll be honest, it purely weighs on the theming for this area. I just thought it was so incredible, even down to the small little details. If you went into the cafe by Nemesis and looked at the poster on the wall, it was a missing poster for the security guard in the advert that we saw for Nemesis. It was those little details that were just brilliant, and it really was a great area to go in. And I really do think now that that might be my favourite ride at the park, just because of the area that it encapsulates and really does make Galactica stick out like a sore thumb. It really does, I have to say. In fact, I enjoyed this area so much that when we went into the cafe and I saw that they had the lagers, which they only produced 1,000 of, I did have to buy one just because I thought that would be an awesome thing to own, and was one of the people who did buy the original Nemesis bolts. I did, after buying this, see a lot of people online mentioning how ridiculous the pricing of it was, and I'll be honest, it was a lot of money, but I was kind of in that mindset of I always miss out on buying these ride parts. I didn't buy the dual blasters because I thought, oh no, it's too much money. Then after seeing they sold out, really did annoy myself that I didn't buy them. So I thought I've got to do it, even if my bank account is really hurting after this weekend, I do have to be honest. But thank you for watching. I'd love to know what you think of Nemesis Reborn and how you think it compares to the original Nemesis, because as I always say, it's great to discuss your opinions with other people, especially on this because it's quite new and is very fresh in people's minds. And I often find myself not thinking of certain details and discussing with people and going, I can't believe I didn't even think of it that way. And sometimes it does influence how I think about it. But what I will say is make sure that you take what other people say on board, knowing that you might disagree with what some people say, deal with it respectfully. But yeah, please do bear in mind that other people may have different opinions to yours, which is the best thing about this community. Don't be one of the people who Googles something, sees what someone said on a Google forum and gone, well, that's going to be my opinion now. So what I'll say is please do find the balance in it, because it would be a very boring place if we all had our opinions based on what Google says, really, wouldn't it? And well, I'm the perfect example of that. I have got some weirdly obscure theme park opinions that would make a lot of people laugh. That should actually be one of my videos, really, shouldn't it? Although that might generate a lot of really bad comments because there are a lot of weird theme park opinions that I have, I'll be honest. So thank you for watching. If you did find this video helpful and would like to see videos like this in the future, please do like and subscribe. It really does help this channel out and really does make the world of difference. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.